ended your life.
You are a sick man.
I'm not sick.
Hi, this is the Professional Amateur Hour coming to you with another review. This week, Leo sent me Play Dead, and this 2022 film was directed by Patrick Lussier and stars Bailee Madison, Jerry O'Connell, and Anthony Turple, among others, of course. The story of this movie is about this woman who has to sneak into this morgue in order to steal a cell phone. That is because her brother was caught up in this robbery gone wrong, and the brother's partner died but has his cell phone on them, and that's where they planned the whole robbery. So if the police get the cell phone, then, he's going to jail. And so she wants to prevent that. So she simulates like an overdose and then wakes up in the morgue. But there's something creepy going on in the morgue. There's this creepy coroner, and he's doing something to the dead bodies. Luckily, nothing sexual, so that's good, but he is doing something to them. And will she get the cell phone? Will she escape and leave this coroner behind? Well, you have to watch the movie and find out. Alright, so let's discuss this movie. Well, with this one, I think it's a decent enough horror film. With this one, it is a lot of kind of like body horror type of stuff. It's not live bodies, of course. They're all kind of like corpses and that type of stuff. So this coroner, he's cutting them up. He's removing chest plates and that type of stuff. And so if you are a little bit more squeamish, then yeah, you'll get a real kick out of this one with all the dead bodies and that type of stuff. And it is kind of about the suspense as well, right? Will this woman get caught? What will happen to her when she gets caught? And that type of stuff. Over the years, I guess I haven't been doing this for a year yet, maybe over the months. And after, some of the things that Leo has sent me, I'm kind of desensitized to, dead bodies and that type of stuff. And so I was just watching it there, but I can definitely see how other people, especially the squeamish type, would kind of be creeped out with all this different type of stuff. And again, it is about that atmosphere that it creates. It definitely has that. So yeah, it's decent enough that way. With that being said, as the movie goes on and on, you are introduced to more and more characters. And there's not like a lot of characters in this one. There's like 7 or 6 characters total in the whole thing. And so by the end, with a little bit more characters, you get into it more for sure, and you really kind of are more engaged with it and how the different characters interact with each other and that type of stuff. It's definitely good by the end. So it is a little hard to get into, especially in that first half where there's like 3 characters in the whole thing. So once they start, introducing more characters, definitely makes it more interesting. Also, I think Jerry O'Connell does a good job. He plays the coroner, and the coroner is just like the person who works at the morgue. And he's pretty good at it. He's very kind of meticulous and kind of like a maniac sometimes as well. And so he definitely does a good job as well. He plays a pretty good villain. And so, yeah, that also, adds to the suspense and the horror aspect to it. So that definitely works for sure. Also, I think all of the camera work and the shooting and that type of stuff definitely works. It's well framed, well shot. You can tell what's always happening. It's a little bit well lit, but at the same time, that helps you see everything. And so that is good as well. So all of the camera work definitely has confidence, I would say, behind it. So that's good. And that brings me to what doesn't work with this film. Well, I think it suffers from a few things. One being that first half, it's kind of hard to get into, specifically because there's so few characters. With these horror movies, after you've seen so many, you realize there's always someone who escapes. And if you only have one main character, you know who escapes already. So throughout the whole thing, I didn't feel too much fear because I know who the final person's going to be anyways, because there's only one, right? So it doesn't really matter. Part of this is, seeing all the other kills, seeing kind of the body stuff. But yeah, it's just kind of suffers from that. It's hard to get into that way. I would say with the character herself, her plan, it doesn't make sense. Like, her plan is just to get into the morgue and then she'll figure out how to get the cell phone after that. So it's kind of doesn't work that way. It's like, what are you doing? Like, why would you do this? What is your plan? You have no plan. Just run. Like, running to a different state or whatever would be a better plan than what they've come up with. And so that definitely kind of suffers with the audience trying to get into it that way. And the actress herself, she's okay. Sometimes they're better than others. There's sometimes where it's kind of a little bit over the top, but other times where it's right where it needs to be. So her acting is a mixed bag as well. Other than that, I think there's a few things that kind of deflate this movie. For example, this coroner is the only coroner in town apparently, and he only works nights, and I just don't understand why that's the case. Like, wouldn't you have like a second coroner? And I guess that would make it so that he gets caught with all his creepy stuff, but then why is he working nights if he's the only one as well, right? So it doesn't really kind of make sense that he is the only coroner and that he just only works nights. That, again, doesn't make sense. I guess it adds to that creepy atmosphere that's happening at night, so I don't know. With that being said, it also seems like there's no stakes in this movie. It just seems like nobody knows about this coroner. Nobody knows about this girl. Like, if this girl disappears, like, no one's going to care. And if this coroner keeps doing what he's doing, like, nobody's going to know, right? So it just doesn't seem like it has any impact, even on the world within the film. And so it just kind of seems low stakes that way, where it's like, should I care if nothing's really going to come of it, right? Like, the whole objective of her plan is for nothing to happen to her brother, right? So nothing happens, right? That's her whole plan, if she's successful, of course. And so, yeah, it just kind of deflates the kind of the tension and just kind of the engagement level, I would say. As for my recommendation, well, if you know someone who's a little bit squeamish with kind of body horror stuff, show this to them. They'll get a kick out of it. If you are just into body horror, yeah, sure, it's all in there. Not a lot of blood, like I said before, but definitely something to watch if you're into that genre. And so check it out if you want. As for a rating, I'll give it the average score of 5. I think if you're, desensitized to this type of stuff, you'll probably give it a lower score. But for most audiences, yeah, I'll give it a 5. And with that being said, I think that's all I wanted to say. So like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.